Have you ever stopped to think that your body is made up of many different types of cells? Shall we take a look at what these guys are?
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Welcome, students and all you curious folks out there. My name is Tarek, and today we're going to talk about epithelial tissue. To start off, our body is composed of a vast variety of several different types of cells, with distinctive physical shapes and many different functions. These cells are meticulously organized into specialized groups that work together, performing a very specific function collectively as a unified team. Thick. These groups of cells are called tissues. In the body, there are four main types of tissue: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscle tissue, and nervous tissue. We've already talked about nervous tissue in the nervous system lesson, so go check that out if you haven't yet. Today, we're going to talk about epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue. It's one of the most important tissues in the body, and its main characteristic is that the cells are juxtaposed. In other words, they're stacked like fish scales, one on top of the other, and they have a series of cellular junctions. They also have a relatively limited quantity of extracellular matrix, or polyhedral, which means they have a wide variety of irregular shapes, and they are completely lacking in blood vessels with a few exceptions. So its nourishment comes through diffusion from blood vessels located in another tissue, the connective tissue, which we'll talk about in another lesson. This epithelial tissue, in practical terms, is what constitutes and forms the skin, the mucous membranes that line the internal surfaces of the intestines, blood vessels, and excretory ducts, as well as various other specialized structures, other things. So, in general, we can say that everything that enters or leaves your body must necessarily pass through in epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue. The primary and essential functions of epithelial tissue are covering and protecting various body surfaces, such as the skin, the absorption of molecules, which happens in the small intestine with specialized cells, secretion, which is carried out by glandular epithelial tissue, which I'll discuss in greater detail in a moment, contraction, which is performed by epithelial tissue around glands, and the perception of stimuli, like through taste buds. Epithelial tissue is derived from the three primary embryonic germ layers: the ectoderm, the mesoderm, and the endoderm. The ectoderm will give rise to the epidermis and its appendages, the mucous glands, and hair. It will also give rise to the lining epithelium of the nasal cavities, oral and anal cavities. The mesoderm will give rise to the lining epithelium of blood vessels and the urogenital system, and the endoderm will give rise to the lining epithelium and glands of the digestive tract, except for the oral and anal cavities. We can say that epithelial tissue is divided into two groups: the covering lining epithelial tissue and the glandular epithelial tissue. Glandular epithelial tissue. The covering epithelial tissue, as the name suggests, covers the surfaces of the body. So these are very compact, closely packed cells with a large amount of desmosomes. Depending on which surface it covers, the shape of its cells will vary, having various organizations. The first of these is the squamous organization, which consists of flattened cells. There's the cuboidal organization, which is cube-shaped, and the columnar ones, which are significantly taller than they are wide. Besides that, they can be classified as simple epithelium, having only one single layer of cells touching the basal lamina, categorized as stratified, which will have more than one layer of cells, or pseudostratified, where there is a single layer of simple cells that touch the basal lamina, but they have different shapes, which gives a misleading visual impression that there is more than one layer, as shown in this image here. So, depending on exactly where this tissue is located, it will have a different structure. For example, in your throat, you have a stratified squamous tissue. In your blood vessels, a simple cuboidal tissue. In your stomach, a simple kilometer, and so on. An important part of this tissue are the organelles responsible for attachment to the basal lamina, or to each other, such as the desmosome, the hemidesmosome, the gap, the interdigitations, but that's a topic for another time, covered in other lessons. Now, glandular epithelial tissue, which is the second type of epithelial tissue, has the function of producing secretions through glands, and they are divided into simple exocrine glands, which have a secretory duct that leads outside the tissue, And it does not branch, and it can be divided into tubular, like for example the glands of the small intestine, or alveolar, which are the sebaceous glands of the skin. There can also be compound exocrine glands, which can be divided into acinar, for example in the pancreas, tubular, for example in the stomach, or tubuloacinar, for example the salivary glands. In addition, we have endocrine glands, which are those that secrete internally into the body and do not have a secretory duct. They release their products through capillary areas that surround them. These glands are responsible for secreting, for example, hormones like the pituitary, parotary, the thyroid, the adrenal glands. Or there can also be amphicrine glands, which are glands called exoendocrine. Or they can also be called mixed glands. For example, the pancreas is a great example, as it contains exocrine glands that secrete pancreatic juice and endocrine glands that release hormone, mens, insulin, and glucagon. In addition, these glands can be classified according to their physiological function, and then they are separated into holocrine glands, which are glands that accumulate their produced substances in the cytoplasm, then die and disintegrate. This secretion is therefore made up of the product produced by the dead cells, such as, for example, the sebaceous glands. There are also merocrine glands, which are glands that produce and secrete their products without any loss of cytoplasm. For example, the common sweat glands found in the skin. Or they can be apocrine glands, where significant small portions of the cytoplasm are lost and incorporated into the secreted product, such as the mammary glands. We will still cover the other tissues that exist in the human body, so please make sure to stay tuned for the next class on connective tissue. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and share, and remember that we have a new video every week, so subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to always get the latest updates. Thank you so much.